reflexes, agility, shot stopping. I mean, to get the hand on it's one thing with the opposite hand, to then get the power in his wrist to flick it over the bar.
He's one of a kind, I think. Most teams, when you see someone maybe go through one-on-one or an opportunity where you think he should probably score that, you know that in the back of your mind you've got David there, and you make sure you run back because you know that he's going to get something on it, whether it be his hand, foot or anything. He's always there in that right spot.
The best goalkeeper in the world tonight. David was fantastic.
Extraordinary.
Yep, outright the best goalkeeper in the world.
Me gusta mucho Courtois. Yo creo que también David están ahora mismo, ¿no? Courtois, De Gea, pero me quedo con Courtois, con De Gea.
So annoying. David De Gea could save the fucking Titanic. For fuck's sake, man. It was like...
David De Gea didn't just keep Manchester United alive. For more than a decade, he carried them through storms. When defensive structure crumbled, when managers rotated like the seasons, and when club management repeatedly failed to make any improvement, David De Gea's hands produced results. He saved points. Heck, he saved seasons throughout Man United's worst era in modern football. In the eyes of many fans, he was the club's single most reliable player. However, his club would quietly betray him and let him go, only to replace him with an equally expensive gamble that would end up disastrously wrong. Looking back, many fans believe that Man United never even deserved David De Gea. Perhaps his career might have been more successful if he had played for another club. However, for whatever reason, and despite what his club did to him, David De Gea has always had and continues to show love to Man United. So how did things end up this way? How does a club legend coming off of one of his statistically best seasons end up being treated the way he was? Well, it all goes back to how he initially ended up at Old Trafford. From the very beginning, David De Gea had always been around elite footballing company. He was born in Madrid and was a member of Atletico Madrid's youth academy from a very young age. Later on at United. Manchester United, preparing for life after Edwin van der Sar, moved in quickly to sign David De Gea as a long-term keeper. But that just says a lot about De Gea. They had enough faith in the youngster to continue the legacy of a goalkeeping great like Edwin van der Sar. But still, even then, it was a gamble, and United were serious enough to break a record fee at the time to secure the young David De Gea. His first few months at United were a bit of a learning curve, although he was initially criticized for his commanding of crosses and having to adapt to the higher tempo of English football. De Gea would show his one quality that was unquestionable: his insane reflexes and shot-stopping ability. In the 2012-13 season, De Gea would be part of the squad that would reclaim the crown as Premier League champions, giving the perfect gift for Sir Alex Ferguson in his final season. And he was a huge part in claiming the last Premier League title that Man United would ever win. His late-game saves and composed handling would help United close the gap early and maintain the lead towards the end of the season. Because what separates good goalkeepers from great goalkeepers is not only longevity, but the ability to perform when everything is going wrong. Because that's exactly what happened the following 2013-14 season. United would go from reigning champs to 7th place. United fans had not seen this kind of performance in a very long time. However, 7th place could have been a lot worse, if not for the brilliance of David De Gea. While United's attack was weak, their midfield lost and their defense overwhelmed. All things considered, David De Gea kept it close. Because despite being such a terrible season for United, David De Gea was still voted Man United Players Player of the Year and was the recipient of the Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year award. And that says a lot. Then in the 2014-15 season, with the arrival of Louis van Gaal, United would improve to 4th place. But even then, considering what they were used to, it was quite the underperformance. But regardless of all of that, David De Gea was still the most consistent player on the team. By the end of the 2014-15 season, De Gea was shortlisted for the PFA Player of the Year and the PFA Young Player of the Year awards. Ultimately, he would lose out to Eden Hazard and Harry Kane respectively. But to be fair, the chances of a goalkeeper winning that were already incredibly low. However, United fans and players alike continued to appreciate his greatness, as he won back-to-back Man United Players Player of the Year awards, won his second Matt Busby Player of the Year award, and earned his second PFA Team of the Year placement. By the way, in the 2015-16 season, Real Madrid had even tried to sign David De Gea, and the funniest thing is that Man United were more than willing to do the deal. However, the whole thing ultimately collapsed due to paperwork not being submitted on time before the transfer window in Spain was over. It would eventually be known as the fax machine saga, because Real Madrid really wanted him and he really was that good. Even Iker Casillas once said, "We are very lucky to have goalkeepers like De Gea that will soon take my place on the team." Even Vicente Del Bosque described De Gea as the future of Spain. But once more, despite Man United's lackluster 2015-16 season finish at 5th place, David De Gea was still named in his 3rd PFA Team of the Year selection, won his 3rd consecutive Matt Busby Player of the Year award, and won a 4th consecutive Save of the Season. Yeah, from 2012 to 2016, every season David De Gea would have a highlight that would be considered the Premier League Save of the Season. It's no wonder why Real Madrid wanted him, and it's kind of nonsense that Man United were ever willing to give him up. Many thought David De Gea was gonna leave, but the Man United fans would be very relieved to find out that their most consistent player had just signed a new 4-year deal. In hindsight, maybe he should have left, but regardless, De Gea chose to stay. The following 2016-17 season, with the arrival of Jose Mourinho, actually brought a sigh of relief for Man United. That's the season they won the Community Shield, League Cup, and Europa League trophy. But this brings us to one of the best seasons in David De Gea's career, the season that Man United finished 2nd in the league and were runner-ups in the FA Cup, or as Jose Mourinho likes to call it,
that I consider one of the best jobs of my career, to finish 2nd with Manchester United in the Premier League.
And David De Gea was arguably the biggest factor in Man United's most successful season in years. That season, some will argue David De Gea was at his absolute best, as during a match against Arsenal in 2017, De Gea would make an astonishing 14 saves, equaling the Premier League record for saves in a single match, keeping United alive long enough to seal the victory. Because let's be honest, 14 shots on target is a lot, and David De Gea was so incredible that year that he would win his 3rd Man United Players Player of the Year award, his 4th Matt Busby Player of the Year award, be named into his 1st FIFA World 11, earn his 5th consecutive PFA Team of the Year placement, and end the season with his 1st Premier League Golden Glove. Around the 2018-2019 season and the 2020-2021 season, De Gea would have some moments of noticeable dips. Errors in high-profile matches, public analysis of his distribution and sweeper-keeper skills, and more than usual mistakes that pundits and rival fans would often highlight. Because really, David De Gea's strengths were traditional: reflex saves, late reactions, and shot stopping. When it came to asking De Gea to play as sort of like an extra field player, stepping up to build a play, doing short or quick passes, and trying to circulate the ball out back, he wasn't exactly the best. It wasn't really his strong suit, and to be honest, the critique was a bit valid. At times, De Gea's handling of high-press scenarios were less convincing than other modern keepers. However, the counter-argument was also as valid. When United's defense was overwhelmed and the team was under siege, his ability to stop the ball from reaching the back of the net was second to none. Even for those few years of less than average performance, he would keep United's scoreboard respectable for many seasons. Even when United did get scored on a lot, usually it's never even the goalkeeper's fault anyways. Switching so many defensive styles and formations from all these different managers like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Michael Carrick, Ralf Rangnick, and then to Erik ten Hag will definitely result in your defense making a lot of mistakes and your goalkeeper getting scored on. But in the 2022-23 season, David De Gea would remind everyone why he was the rock that kept Man United alive for all those years. That season, he would make 58 appearances in all competitions, the most he's ever played in any season of his career. And in those 58 matches, he would only concede a total of 41 goals. And by the end of the season, he would have a total of 17 clean sheets and be awarded with his 2nd Premier League Golden Glove, breaking goalkeeping legend Peter Schmeichel's record for the most clean sheets in Man United history. But all of a sudden, that summer, Erik ten Hag and Man United would decide to abandon De Gea and move on. Negotiations were reportedly messy and public. Man United communicated that they wanted a goalkeeper with a different profile, someone comfortable with the ball at their feet and willing to act as an on-field distributor under Erik ten Hag's system. And the details around this are a little bit messy, but there are many accounts that say De Gea offered to take a pay cut and a role adjustment himself, which Man United would end up accepting. After more than a decade of loyalty and countless saves that kept Man United alive through their darkest post-Ferguson years, David De Gea's final moments at the club had been reduced to a boardroom standoff. Initially, through verbal agreement, they would agree to extend his contract at a certain price. But eventually, Man United would go back on their word and offer him a much lower than agreed salary. De Gea's contract would officially expire in July of 2023 when negotiations over a renewal eventually collapsed. For a few days, the club's most dependable figure for the last 12 years stood technically unemployed, a free agent still waiting for United to decide if they truly wanted him. Ten Hag and United chose to move forward with Andre Onana, and from the very beginning of his tenure, it was already doomed to fail. Some fans will argue that David De Gea's wages were expensive, but it would never really matter anyways, as they would spend £50 million on Onana's transfer and paid him £120,000 a week. De Gea's departure wasn't just about losing a goalkeeper, it truly symbolized the closing of an era. With him went the last heartbeat of Ferguson's dynasty, a final reminder of a time when United expected greatness and respect. But beyond the pass versus save goalkeeper debate, De Gea's legacy is clear. He is one of the few foreign players to ever create an emotional imprint at Man United. His record of clean sheets and several Player of the Year awards proves the depths of his contribution. For 12 seasons, he made United less embarrassing in an otherwise chaotic time. He took blows and ridicule for the team. He even showed loyalty and chose to stay longer with the club, even though he could have gone to another league or another big club in England, where if he had played in his best years, he would have definitely earned a lot more silverware and prestige. In return, he could have at least gotten a little bit more dignity in leaving, even if they never intended to renew his contract. The way that Erik ten Hag and Man United danced around that situation was utter disgrace. Players age and football demands a shift, but how clubs treat their icons is a measurement of their culture. David De Gea will be remembered by fans not only for his spectacular stops, but also for his loyalty, for seasons rescued, and for the uneasy aftertaste of an exit that seemed to lack respect and ceremony. And now, more than ever at United, David De Gea is severely missed. Fans had finally realized how good David De Gea was to defend United's goal that well for all those years. Because, like they say, you never really know what you have until it's gone.